Mental health support and recovery program in Uganda, supported by Disability Rights Fund. Sexual reproductive health rights. Sexual reproductive health rights. Our rights for the culture. Our rights for the women. Our rights for persons with psychosocial disabilities. Sexual reproductive health rights. Sexual reproductive health rights. Our rights for the culture. Our rights for the women. Our rights for persons with psychosocial disabilities.
I am Suubi Deborah. I am at the university in my final year, pursuing a Bachelor of Arts in Mass Communication. I am at Uganda Christian University of Kono. Being a person with a psychosocial disability, I did face a lot of challenges. At school, there was a lot of segregation, discrimination, and stigma, whereby no one knew that I was having this disability, and it came as a shock to many, including I myself. And so most of my friends, whom I thought were my friends, decided to push themselves away from me. And I remember when I was home and I was getting treatment, when I came back to school, some of my friends told me that no one went to on my bed because they were afraid that I could affect them with the disability, and even some never wanted to pass close to my bed or close to the corridor that I use in fear that I would affect them. And so hearing all this and seeing how people looked at me, it made me feel so down, and I lost my confidence. My friends decided to distance themselves from me because the way they looked at me showed that they are much more comfortable from them looking at me from a distance than us being close as we used to. And it also affected my academics because I remember most of the times I was at home undergoing medication. I would be in school 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then I'm back at home. So how I passed my exams, it's all by God's grace, because I never concentrated in class. All the time I was thinking of, okay, everyone is looking at me in such a way, they expect me to transfer this disability, the psychosocial disability, to them, which is very impossible. But then I now resorted to having my imaginary friends, so those who are in my head. I would listen to more of the voices in my head because that's the only company I had. And then also, when I went to the hospital to access sexual health services, I talked to one of the nurses who first attended to me because she had to put for me a file in the hospital. And so as I talked to her and I told her I have a history of depression, her tone and her facial impression changed. She looked at me in a way of, oh my God, this person has this illness, this person has a problem with her head, because that's how they look at us and call us all kinds of names. So she asked me if I'd ever gone to Butabika. Now, Butabika is a mental hospital. It's a mental national referral hospital for those with mental health issues. And so she asked me if I'd ever gone to Butabika, but then I'd gone there for sexual health services. And so I answered, and then she referred me to the consultant I met. And so when I talked to him, he first looked again at my file and he saw the part of depression. And he began to treat me in a way of, I do not know what I'm talking about. And basically, I'm here because of him. He's helping me out. And actually, I'm actually even wasting his time. His tone just put me so down because I came to the hospital very anxious and I was hoping to get information because I had a lot of questions running through my mind. Why is this happening to me? How can it be resolved? How can I get a solution to this? Is it going to be a lifetime situation or it's just for a time? So I talked to him and he kept on looking at me and showing, oh my God, I'm treating a person who has these issues. is she even understanding what I'm saying? And so I left the hospital so down, and I was like, I'm never coming back to this hospital. I actually even lost the morale to go to any other hospital because it was just so traumatic in that I thought it would happen in another hospital. But then when I joined Triumph Uganda Mental Health Support and Recovery Program, they have really been very helpful in my journey because I got to get free space. It was just a peaceful space for me to talk out how I feel without seething it out. And the fact that they were welcoming and hospitable and friendly enough, they have really been helpful to my life because um, when I experienced the stigma and discrimination, I always wanted to be alone because I only had myself. People were distanced away from me, and so when my self-esteem went down, and I found it hard to interact with people. In that up to date has an effect when I go to a new place. I find it hard to talk to someone because I still have the effect of back then. But Triumph Uganda has been very instrumental in my life in that there is this free space you talk and say air out everything that's bothering you without holding back, and no one judges you for what you say or for what you are or for who you are. And so I've got to build my confidence, and when I talk to people they ask me, how come you're this confident, how come you say this freely without any fear? But then it's all because of Triumph Uganda Mental Health Support and Recovery Program. And then also I've been able to learn my rights. Me as a person living with the psychosocial disability, I got to learn that I have a right to say what is bothering me, what is not right. I have a right to ask and find out why am I treated this way different from this other person, because before they got to discover that I have this disability, I am the same person then and now. There is nothing that has changed. And so I was able to learn through the sexual rights. I got to know my sexual rights, my sexual reproductive health rights. I got to realize that when I go to hospital to acquire sexual health services, I have a right to equal treatment, to be treated equally, just like the same treatment this other girl gets is the same treatment I can get. And so when I got to discover that, whenever I go to a hospital, I go get the sexual health services that I need, and I have also been able to talk to my fellow young girls and some women of my age. I've been able to encourage them and empower them that, you know what, yes, you're a person who has this disability, you didn't ask for it, it came. But then still when you go to a hospital, you have a right to tell them, I have come for sexual health reproductive services, and I require to know what can I take when this has happened to me, or which medication will help me during this time of period. And it has really been very helpful, and I've also learned that I am who I am, and nothing is going to change that. Yes, I am a person living with a psychosocial disability, but that doesn't mean I'm less of a human being. I'm just like any other person who has no disability, and we are all equal. And I am so grateful for Disability Rights Fund for the help they have put into Triumph Uganda Mental Health Support and Recovery Program, because we are having our voices heard, and that has been my cry from day one, because I wouldn't want to see any other girl go through what I've gone through, the experiences I've had. And so whenever I get a chance to interact with some young girls or some young women or some who have the disability, I encourage them, because that way I'm airing out so that they don't go through what I've gone through, but I'd rather be encouraged to know that, okay, yes, I have this disability, but I can still go out and be treated equally like any other person. I am a person living with a psychosocial disability, and it's hard for people to come out and say this, but with the confidence I have right now, I will come out and say I have this disability. So to any young person out there having the psychosocial disability and not having the courage to come out and talk to someone about what's happening, there is no health without mental health. So your mental health is very important. If you're battling out there, do not suffer alone. Seek help. Triumph Uganda Mental Health and Recovery Program is out here to help people with disability, with the psychosocial disability. So do not stay there and feel like you're worthless and isolate yourself, because you need this help. You're not the first person to suffer from this, to have this disability, and you won't be the last. So the earlier you come out, the better. You can come out, speak up, and your voice will be heard. And that way you will also encourage your other fellow young people to come out and seek help, because right now it's important to seek help at this time than reaching, I usually call it the stage 4 of the psychosocial disability, whereby you now have the suicidal attempts. I wouldn't want you to reach to that level. So we are all human, and I want you to trust and believe in yourself that you're worth living. Thank you.